Ready to chase away those winter blues with some beautiful spring cards? Today we're going to create 2 cards and they are going to feature the fancy border dies. Hello, welcome everybody. I'm Connie Stewart with simplysimplestamping.com. I'm so glad that you guys could stop by for today's Tuesday tip video. So not only are we going to create 2 great cards, I've got a bonus Tuesday tip for you in today's video. So let's jump in. We're going to create these amazing cards with those brand new fancy borders dies. So much fun. Let's jump in. We're going to start with this card here. And guys, these are so easy to do. I said we're going to use the fancy border dies. Let's do this beautiful scallop one right here. As we work on our cards today, please don't worry about writing down any of the measurements or taking any screenshots because I have a free download that goes along with today's video. Friends, in this download, you're going to have the measurements, the cutting, the scoring. You're going to have photos of the cards. There's a supply list and this QR code. You can click or scan it. It'll bring you right back here to YouTube. Now, as I'm working today, if you fall in love with some of the Stampin' Up! Products I'm using, guess what? You can order it right here if you're in the United States. Friends, you can just click this graphic. It'll take you right to my online store. You can order any of the products that I'm using right there. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, but with that, I think we're ready to jump into this card. I've got a basic white thick card base that is a 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I've got a piece of Pool Party Designer Series paper, and it's a 5.5 by 2 inches. Now, I'm going to get a little heavy-handed here with my adhesive. So I went all the way around, but I'm going to give myself one more strip right here, and that's going to go at the bottom of my card. So we're going to adhere this right here onto the bottom of my card base. Now we're ready to work with our die, but this is where today's Tuesday tip comes in. When working with, well, just about any die, sometimes we struggle getting them to stay on while we're working and running that through our die cutting machine. Today's tip is about painter's tape. All right. I love to use painter's tape, but I've got some important tips to share with you. This is a wider tape. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It's just what my husband had in the garage. So I'm going to take one piece, I'm going to cut it in half, and this is my tip. Even though it's painter's tape, it's still really, really sticky, and we need to de-stickify it. I've got an old towel here. I keep this in my stamp room. I'm going to lay both these pieces of tape here on the towel. You could also put this maybe on a sweater or on jeans, just something we want to actually pick up lint. Crazy, right? All right, we're going to pull this off. And I still have sticky, but really what I have is just tacky, which is what I need, but the good kind of tacky, okay? So let's go ahead and jump in using our new de-stickified method for adding our border dies. So I'm going to lay this right here. I'm going to press onto the die itself. I'm not going to press too hard onto the paper. You notice I have it lined up from side to side. Again, we'll lay that one and I'm going to press on the die. Now, this is kind of important. This die is going, we're going to have just enough room to get through our machine. So we're going to want to line that up right smack in the middle of our plates. In fact, I've got a little extra tape sticking off there. So I'm going to use that. We're going to lay our top plate and we're ready to run this through. But yeah, it's going to barely go through our machine, and that's okay. That's okay. All right, I'm going to kind of get this going, and I can see I need to do a little scooching, okay? We really want to get that right in the middle. All right, I'm ready to try again, and can you see? Can you see those are just barely going to fit in there? So make sure you take your time to make sure you've got those set, and now we'll run that through. Now let's test out our painter's tape method, because we should not have any of our designer series paper coming off because we de-stickified it. We added that little bit of fuzz. It helps so much. By the way, you notice I'm really taking my time getting that off. We want that to come off nice and clean. This is trash, although you could use it. It's quite beautiful. Another testament to my painter's tape right there. Now you can really see that beautiful border. Now, I am not a big fan of just having that harsh line right there. So I'm going to create myself just a little border. This is a 1/8 inch by 5.5 inches of basic black. So, boy, talk about scrap. In fact, I'm going to be using a lot of scrap on today's card. I really like being able to use my scraps and come up with something really pretty. So I'm going to add a little bit of multi-purpose glue here on that strip. You can line it up just above or directly on the designer series paper, whichever works best for you. Now let's do a little stamping. So I'm going to use Storybook Life. I loved the Hello Spring. It's big, it's bold, it's fun. We're going to stamp that in our Memento Black. That's going to go right here on the upper right corner, just above our border there. All right, now we're going to create some beautiful spring flowers featuring the Petal Park Builder Punch. I'm always looking for ways to use up my scraps. I literally just pulled these out of my scrap bag. So I've got a little bubble bath. Now it looks like I can get all three on there. Let's say I couldn't. That would not be a problem because I can get those two. I want all three of the flowers. So I could just turn that around and get that one right there. So that's the bubble bath. This is fresh freesia. And yep, I had a piece that was big enough to get all three of those flowers. Lemon lolly, got plenty of this one. There we go. And for the leaves, it worked out quite well because I had a 1-inch strip of soft sea foam. And because I really just need this piece down here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, one more. So I've got 5 leaves, all those great flowers. We're going to do a little magic. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. Now, if you don't have this mat, you could use maybe like, I don't know, maybe like a mouse pad or something like that. You just need something with a little cush. I'm going to bring in my Take Your Pick tool, and I want the stylus end. And we're going to go with the thicker one. So my thinner one is right down there. And friends, I'm going to just push that stylus tool right into the middle and give it a push. And do you see what it does? It just makes my flowers pop. Now, I do want to show you, let's say you don't have a stylus tool. Here's something else you can do. Take a pen without the pen sticking out. So, something like that. Lay it in the middle of the flower. Give it a push. Look at that. It just gives us these great pops. So either one, if your stylus tool is there on your table, go for it. If you've got a pen nearby, that works just as well. We're going to give all of those a little push. And now we have these great popping flowers. Who knew? It's just too easy. You can use multi-purpose glue, or you can use mini glue dots, whichever you prefer. But I'm going to put just a dot of glue into each flower, and we're going to adhere these together. So you see, we're just going to layer the 3 flowers on top of each other. Thus the reason it is called the Builder Punch, because you see, look at that great flower. It's beautiful. I'm going to repeat that here with my other 2 flowers. So while those are drying a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and do some embellishing to my flowers. I've got the Naturals Matte Dots, and we're going to add one of the larger black dots to the center of each of these flowers. And it just adds such a wow to the center, kind of polishes those off. I'm going to go ahead and bring my card back in while we're working on these. We are going to go ahead and we'll add a few of the smaller dots. We're going to add these down here. I know it's spring, and so sometimes we wouldn't necessarily think that having black would be a great color, but ooh, does it just pop. These are beautiful, and I think it's that matte finish. All right, these should be dry now, so we are going to come in. I think I'll start with the fresh freesia, and I'm going to give myself a little dot of glue, and I'm going to add my first flower. I'll add my next one. You know what? I think it's just easier to put the glue right there on the cardstock. On that card base, we'll add another one and one down here. Just make sure you're not going off the edge of the card. All right, we have those, and now we can tuck in some of the leaves. So you can do this however you want. I'm just going to put some little dots of glue on the back, and I'm going to start tucking. All right, so wherever you feel you need to add a leaf, you've got 5 to work with. And so we'll add a couple there. And I've added a couple there. And this last one, let's see, where do I need one more? I think I actually need it maybe about right here. All right. We've got those adhered down. I'm leaving this card blank inside. I just want to be able to maybe just write a thank you note or just a thinking of you today. Hello Spring just kind of says whatever you need it to, right? But I love the looks of that border. And then we added those beautiful flowers. All right, we're going to create another card with another border. And this time we are going to stamp and die cut some flowers to go on our card. And don't forget about the free download I have for you that goes along with today's card. Friends, you'll find this at simplysimplestamping.com, or if you look down in the YouTube description, you'll have a direct link. I'd love for you to have this because you'll have the measurements, the photos, the supply list, everything you need right there. Let's take a look at our second card. Now, this one I did a little stamping and die cutting here on the inside. I added a few more flowers. Love every moment. It also just kind of says whatever you need it to say. All right. It's just going to be a great card of friendship or wishing someone a great day. And I love this one. We're going to use the same colors that we did on the first card. But do you notice we're using a different border? And I got some tips with that one as well. My card base is exactly the same, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. There's my designer series paper. This again is that 2 inches by 5.5 inches. And we also have just a scrap. I mean, again, guys, I used a lot of scrap today. This is a 3/4 of an inch by 6 inch of basic black. Now let's bring our dies back in. And we're going to choose this one. So what I'm going to do for the first part of my card, I'm going to lay this, and I want you to kind of notice there's some little points, okay? I want those points going down. So I'm going to lay that right there, which makes it real easy because the Stampin' Up! Little logo right there is facing up. We're just going to put that about right there. We can bring our painter's tape back in. And friends, with this one, we don't have to worry about those dies because I can run it through this way. I'm simply making just a strip. So we're going to run that through our machine. We'll very gently remove our painter's tape. And friends, I just keep this nearby my machine and I just have a little place that I just stick it right there. So it's really handy. All right. Well, now we're going to take that strip, that 3/4 by 6 inches. Yes, it is a little bit bigger. I'll show you why. The die is actually a little bit bigger than 6 inches. And so I'm going to kind of, again, just like before, I want to keep that down at the bottom. Let's run that through our machine. We're now going to adhere our designer series paper and see how I'm just kind of lining that up. Now you know why I wanted that to be 6 inches. I wanted to make sure I had a little slush on each side. So we are simply going to put our glue right along that basic black. You're going to kind of scooch up the designer series paper till you have that even. And now we can just trim away this excess, and look, we have that beautiful black border that matches. All right, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add this to my card. I'm going to leave about 3/8 of an inch of the white showing. So we will adhere that down. Use your favorite adhesive because I'm using my multi-purpose glue with those little strips. And we're going to use another one right here. So the multi-purpose glue just seemed to work best. So again, we're just going to add just a little bit. We do not want it to ooze out. And it's such a good, strong adhesive. All right, let's add this to the top of our designer series paper. It's so beautiful, isn't it? And you could use these borders any way, whether you want it vertical or horizontal. We're going to go horizontal today. Let's do some stamping. And I'm going to use the Everyday You and Me bundle. I loved the Love Every Moment, but we have some other great sentiments in this as well. Better together, happy, so much joy. Any of those would work great with this card. I loved the flowers and the matching dies. So that's what we're going to use to stamp today. Remember how on our other card we use scraps? We're going to do that again. I've got 4 ink pads. I've got Bubble Bath, Fresh Freesia, Soft Sea Foam, and Lemon Lolly. When I do this type of thing, I like to start with my lightest color. And I used the medium flower. So there's a larger one and a much smaller one, and then 2 in the middle. And so I'm going to use those 2. You notice I put them on one block. It just kind of makes things a little bit easier. So I have got some scraps of basic white. I don't know about you. I do have a lot of strips of basic white. So dig through, find what you have. All right, I'm going to clean my stamp and I'll bring in the Bubble Bath ink pad. Yeah, I know we all have those strips that it's just time to start using those up. All right. You notice I'm kind of spacing them apart because I do have to die cut these. So there's Bubble Bath. We'll clean the stamp again. In Fresh Freesia, I don't think I can quite fit them there. So I'm going to bring in another scrap. We'll get 2 Fresh Freesia flowers. Now we just need to get some of the leaves. And I did put those on one block. Again, it just kind of makes things easier. I don't think I can quite fit it on there. You know what? It looks like I'm going to have to bring in this piece, which is fine because I can always come in. I can get one there and I can get one here. And I forgot to mention it, but we are also going to use the Memento black ink pad. So we have this little cluster of dots. And again, I told you before, I just love, even though it's a spring card, I love the look of the burst in black on those flowers. So we're going to just kind of give them a little extra love there in the center. And you know, while I've got this out, let's go ahead and stamp my greeting on my card as well. And that is the Love Every Moment. Stamp that right there. And let's come back in with that little burst because I just thought it looked really cute, just kind of as a little embellishment on the card. Now it's time to do some die cutting. So we have got 4 flowers. And remember, we used the 2, that kind of the 2 medium-sized ones. So we will take those and we can line those up. We have the 2 sets of leaves and we will line, whoops, that one goes there. I'm going to go and get all of these die cut for you, and then we'll start to put our card together. I have my larger flowers here and my smaller flowers here. The larger ones will go on the front of the card. I'm going to do the lemon lolly first. Again, we're going to come back in with that multi-purpose glue, and we will add our first flower. Now these next 2, I'm actually going to add Stampin' Dimensionals. And we'll add those right there. Now with our leaves, we have 2 sets of leaves. Just kind of decide where you want them before you adhere them down. A little bit of glue on the back. And we're just going to tuck these in. It's just that easy. And I love the burst of that soft sea foam coming down on my card. All right, we're going to open up our card. And now we are going to add our final 3 flowers and our last 2 leaves. Just like so. There we go. Guys, a fantastic card. Let me go ahead and bring my first card back in. If you're ready for spring, these cards are for you. And let me tell you, the fancy border dies are going to add so much amazing beauty to your cards. Rather than just have that straight edge, why not add that beautiful bordered edge? Turns an ordinary card into something extraordinary. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I hope that you liked those cards. If you did, would you do me a favor? Would you click that thumbs up button there on YouTube? I always appreciate those. And if you haven't subscribed, why not subscribe to the channel? Subscribing is absolutely free, and you'll get notifications from YouTube whenever I'm back with a new video. And I share every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Simply Simple Stamping on YouTube. Love to have you join us. With that, everybody, have a fantastic day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.